On Monday, the Boston Red Sox began the first game of the post-Rafael Devers era by beating the Mariners, led by Lucas Giolito's gutting the Mariners lineup. Welcome to the Dom Skiing Channel, your one-stop shop for the Mariners storylines on Seattle's minds. And the Mariners lose a 2-run game, 2-0 to the Red Sox in this one, as the Red Sox take the lead in the top of the first inning and hold it all the way through. Roman Anthony, the number one prospect in the MLB, hits his first big league home run off of Logan Gilbert in the first inning, who only allows 2 earned runs in his first start off the IL. Logan's line, he goes 5 innings with 2 earned runs on 3 hits, 10 strikeouts to 1 walk, as Giolito also had 10 strikeouts to 1 walk in 6 innings pitched for him. Logan gets through 5 innings with just 84 pitches. Dan said he was going to go just about 80 pitches before the game yesterday, and that's about what he did. He only got hard hit 3 times as well, so the ERA still looking sterling at a 2.55 on the year, and he can pick up right where he left off. He does allow the 1 homer just to Roman Anthony, who had a good at bat against him, took a few fastballs off the plate in just the third at bat back from the IL. Obviously, Gilbert's been working in Tacoma quite a bit, but his first start back in the big leagues, gives up that homer in the first inning, then settles in. Fans 10 of the 19 Red Sox batters he faces. Then you got Giolito on the other hand, who goes 6 innings, 0 earned runs on 3 hits, 10 strikeouts to 1 walk, obviously no homers, and 91 pitches. His ERA up at a 4.73. He's had all sorts of terrible starts this year, but he's one of the guys that Nick Pollock of Pitcher List, one of the best pitching analysts in the industry, has been way higher than consensus on this season. So he's a guy that I've had a hard time quitting on. And with his changeup, he's one of the premier changeup guys when he's going. I thought, as well as, he has a curveball, a slider that play off the 4-seamer pretty well. I was thinking this is a pretty good matchup, against the Mariners lineup for Giolito and the Red Sox. And I was curious to see what the Mariners were going to do. Unfortunately, I did feel like this was a spot where they were going to get us. I felt like and I felt like Giolito exposed our flaws really well. He kept those, that changeup and that curveball down, kept that slider off the plate, didn't throw everything in the zone. And I mean, yeah, it was, encouraging to see that he gets a bunch of whips on all of his pitches, obviously from a Red Sox perspective. I hate to sound like I'm a Giolito fan, because obviously I'm not. However, this felt like, it's almost like the Mariners haven't been doing a good job against these types of pitches. And it feels almost right that, we're going to have to improve that part of our game before we get to the playoffs. And I'm glad that we're not just going to waltz into the playoffs only hitting fastballs and then be surprised there. These are some of the kinks that needed to be worked out before the playoffs anyway. I'm glad we get to see a cold stretch before midseason, and obviously coming off the heels of a sweep, you give a game back to the Red Sox, a team who had one of the most tumultuous flights to Seattle, with Rafael Devers turning around and going to San Francisco instead, who they'll face later this week. I know I said I was going to do an emergency podcast on that. I did not, but maybe I'll do a little analysis piece on it tomorrow. Anyway, yeah, expect definitely more content coming soon. I want to start doing emergency podcasts leading up to the trade deadline, not just on the Mariners, but on any trades that happen throughout the MLB. So definitely drop a few likes if you want that. I'll tell you what, give this video 3 likes, and we'll get that emergency podcast out tomorrow about the Rafael Devers trade and how the trade market could shape up over the course of the next month and a half before the trade deadline, beginning of August. Then basically Giolito ends up getting 18 swinging strikes on 91 pitches, 7 on 47 fastballs, 5 on 25 sliders, 4 on 15 changeups, 2 on 4 curveballs. Didn't even throw the changeup and the curveball much. He basically just went fastball and slider, interestingly enough. But it was enough. and these other pitches when he did deploy them also got a ton of whiffs. So elite swinging strike rate from Giolito, 18 on 91. Man, we've barely seen anything like that this season. And not saying that Giolito is an amazing pitcher. He's had all sorts of terrible starts. He might have another one this season, but I'm higher on him than consensus as well. Moving over to Logan's side of the equation, he had 21 swinging strikes on just 84 pitches. So while Giolito might look like he was, extremely good pitcher in this start, Logan's first off the IL. Remember, he hasn't had any bad starts or anything. He's just been injured. 21 swinging strikes on 84 pitches. Welcome back, Logan Gilbert. 25% swinging strike rate, clean, pristine from Logan Gilbert. Obviously, health-wise, being 6'7", shout out to the Skrilla song, 6'7". If you haven't heard that one, go ahead and look it up. They make James Woods edits with that song. If anybody's watching this who makes MLB edits, please make a Skrilla Doot 6'7" edit for Logan Gilbert. Comment down here when you do, or message me, whatever. I'd love to see that. But Logan Gilbert being 6'7", back to the point, that's the one worry, is that just being such a big athlete, you kind of can be a glass cannon. We've seen it with certain other players that are bigger and stuff, and even guys who are so athletic like Byron Buxton that sometimes they're just at a higher risk for injury because they're making those sorts of plays in the way that they're playing. I'm not saying Logan Gilbert is that, definitely not. He doesn't have the injury risk of a Bryce Miller or anything. Definitely looks like when he's going to be pitching, he's going to be great. But the one thing is, you never take good health for granted. And that's the one thing that, not to get too religious on the show, but the one thing that I would pray to God, directly ask God for, is good health. And especially Logan Gilbert, a God-fearing man who I have met before at the stadium, and a great person overall. So God bless Logan Gilbert, and pray for good health for everybody, but Logan Gilbert in particular. Think about him when you say those prayers. That's really the story of the game, was Giolito and Gilbert. And then you had, I believe, a 39-year-old Aroldis Chapman. I'm sorry, I have to check, just because it's hard to believe. Aroldis Chapman, though, is a Hall of Famer. I was just watching him last night thinking, the only thought on my mind, 37 he is right now. So he did start when he was very young, in 2015. His 11th season in the big leagues. It feels like it's been longer than that because he's packed each season. I mean, he's been elite the whole way through. He has been, you look at it on StatCast and on Baseball Savant, he is just in the top 1, 2, 3% of a lot of these expected stats year after year after year. Obviously has had off the field issues, but also not just on his end, but coming from Cuba, he earned that Cuban Missile nickname, by putting on for a country which there hasn't been as many stories as there probably should be, of these brilliant baseball players coming out of there, and having to face all sorts of odds to get to the MLB, where then they come in and dominate. I have an appreciation for what Aroldis Chapman is still doing at the age of 37 on the baseball field. Gets up to 102 miles an hour. That last at bat in particular, just absolute masterclass. I don't know if I've seen this dominant of a ninth inning from a closer this year. This dominant of a save, just with my own two eyes. 7 swinging strikes on 13 pitches, so over 50% swinging strike rate. But in particular, I want to focus on the last sequence of the game. And we're not going to focus on the Mariners lineup because they performed pretty poorly tonight. String to give their 4 hits. It's funny, both teams tied in hits, tied in expected batting average is 163, sorry. But, that's very funny to see that. But still, they get the homer and then another run, and it is what it is. Then the one sequence at the end of the game I want to look at Chapman versus Donovan Solano, who comes in and pinch hits when the Mariners are down to our final out. Four-seam fastball for the first pitch, 99.2. And then as Ryan Roland Smith said on the broadcast, Chapman will lower that velocity, 96, 97, the first two pitches, then bring it up to over 100 on strike three, just to knock him out. Just filthy, filthy stuff to be able to do this, especially, again, at that age. 99.2 four-seamer, pounded up in the zone for strike one. Then strike two was sinker, basically middle away, middle almost. But it's so filthy with 11 inches of horizontal break that Solano still couldn't really get on it. I remember I was saying, come on, Solano, get on one of these. Because he's got two swinging strikes where he's swung and completely missed the ball, getting dominated. So he finally gets on one on, strike three, what could have been strike three. Finally gets on the sinker, which this time is 101.9, with 12 inches of horizontal break, inverted, so going in on him. And then, he does manage to foul that one off. However, then, Chapman is like, okay, I've thrown you three fastballs, basically, a four-seam, two sinkers. Then he throws the splitter to get the knockout on Solano, who absolutely swings over the top of it. And, Chapman deserved to win this battle. He deserved to take this inning from us. Giolito, at the end of the day, deserved to take this game from us. We didn't see those breaking balls well, and I don't have a solution, but it's definitely, I'm not sure what it is, but we're going to have to look into it a lot more. Because even when you tie, 4 hits, 163 expected batting average, can't expect to win. You got to find a way to score. Anyway, we will cover today's game as we try to maintain a chance, keep our hopes alive to win this series today. And I will be going to the game right now, so I got to log off. Great talking to you guys. Remember, if we get 3 likes on this, I will post my first emergency podcast talking about the trade deadline. And I will post a bunch of them leading up to the trade deadline as the trades come out. Anyway, this has been your boy Dom Skeen. I will see you guys tomorrow. Go M's.